Now it's fashionable to talk about the benefits of a product or service. The market dictates its own rules of the game, and I will talk about the benefits of my services. Watch this video to the end, and you will be surprised at how much you will learn about the psychological consulting market. There are many psychologists on the internet now. Many have websites. Specialized portals have been created for them that sell their services. The internet is flooded with information on how to choose the right psychologist. And psychologists praise their psychotherapy and say that it is the panacea for all troubles. Yes, that's exactly how the market for entry-level psychologist services works. Didn't you know that? The question arises, who else works in the psychological counseling market? I answer. First, it is a regular psychologist. He studies for 4 years and works this category of specialists with psychological problems that are not accompanied by medical symptomatology. Almost 95% of internet psychologists are psychologists of this category of specialists. Then comes the medical psychologist. This is a specialist of my plan. A medical psychologist studies for 5.5 years and consults, for example, on psychosomatic diseases. If the medical psychologist does not cope with the client's problem, then the client goes to a psychiatrist. So, the first difference between me and an ordinary psychologist is that an ordinary psychologist has no training in medical psychology and cannot advise on mental health issues and the effects of stress on health, on psychosomatic problems. But the whole point is that prolonged experience of stress creates psychosomatic illnesses. Look, I am now showing the scheme of psychosomatic pathology development. As you see, it consists of 7 stages, and the place of work of an ordinary psychologist is the first and the second stage, stages of stress factors, which are not accompanied by health problems. These are so-called problems in the client's head, which prevent him from living normally. At stage 2, the psychotherapy which an ordinary psychologist can offer is still effective, but at stage 3 it will not be very effective and a medical psychologist has to get involved in the problem. Why? Because an ordinary psychologist does not know to help at the stage of disruption of regulatory mechanisms in the body. He has not been taught that. So any regular psychotherapy is effective up to stage 3, at stage 3 it is no longer effective, and at stages 4 and 5 the client already needs specialized psychotherapy and medical help. If the regular psychologist is honest with the client, he should warn the client about this. He should honestly tell the client that his psychotherapy techniques have clear limits, rather than exhorting the client that he is the best and that he will help the client and he is the panacea for all the health woes of the client. He is not. Moreover, an ordinary psychologist cannot determine the degree of psychosomatic damage and therefore does not know if the client is already in stage 3 or not. So he should recommend the client to go to a medical psychologist, because if the client is in stage 3, the money for the psychotherapy sessions would just be thrown away. Hence so many people are disappointed in psychologists and psychotherapy and consider psychologists to be chatterboxes. And in fact, it is a problem of general healthcare culture and an average person should first go to a medical psychologist to rule out a psychosomatic illness and then look for a psychologist and suitable psychotherapy. But for some reason, it is the other way around. Usually, medical psychologists don't work over the internet. Why? Well, because they work in medical institutions and hospitals that have technical diagnostic tools available. In other words, they need special software to understand whether there are risks of psychosomatic pathology and what organs are targeted in the case of a particular client. For example, I use a special software, Virtual Scanner of Health, which is certified by the Ministry of Health of the Russian Federation and since 2002 is used in Russian health institutions as a system of prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of psychosomatic diseases. But there is a very big but. This system costs 26,000 euros. Not every psychologist can buy this software. If a psychologist is successful and his practice gives him the money, he can develop his business and buy this software for personal business use and thus offer a new, highest quality of his services. An ordinary psychologist cannot afford and does not need this kind of investment. He sells psychotherapy. But psychotherapy is not licensed by any health ministry in the world. There are many schools of psychotherapy and each says it is the best. I, on the other hand, sell psychosomatic risk diagnostics. I hope you see the difference now. Don't you? Without specialized diagnostics, a medical psychologist's opinion on a client's case is a personal opinion. It's subjective, it can be wrong. In my case, it can't be. Diagnostic technology is certified and its accuracy is 97%. Next, the professional medical psychologist has a problem. Okay. The virtual health scanner, as a diagnostic tool, works on stages 2 and 3 of psychosomatic lesions. But what about stage 4? And stage 4 is very important, because the psychomorphological processes in the organ are the first indicator indicating whether or not activation of the medical component of the model has occurred. If activation has taken place, then the person is at the stage of becoming a real disease of the organ. The disease is already going from the psyche to the organ. How to understand this? For this purpose I use another software. It is called Points and it too is certified by the Federal Service for Supervision of Public Health and Social Development of the Russian Federation. There's the problem again. The price of the software is 6,000 euros without training. For training take either medical psychologists or doctors. And I have this software. So, I can work with a client on stage 4 of psychosomatic lesions, and I can prepare a professional opinion for the treating doctors of the client on his status. The problem is that from stage 4 the client needs medical help. Psychotherapy will not be effective. But the whole point is that psychosomatics is not treated with pills, and if the medical psychologist does not point the doctor in the right direction, the treatment will not be effective and toxic for the patient. That's why in normal countries a medical psychologist works together with the treating doctor. Let's move on. Stage 5 of psychosomatic disease formation. The new problem. PONS doesn't work at this stage. What to do? How to help the client? For this, we need sensitive imago bioresonance diagnostics. Again the same problem. Price 14,000 euro and more training. For training take either medical psychologists or doctors. And I have this software, too. So to run a quality business, a medical psychologist needs to invest at least 50,000 euros in himself. And all this after receiving a basic education, which lasts 5.5 years, costs a lot of personal work and financial investment. I hope I have clearly explained the difference between me and an ordinary psychologist. I am proud that my private practice is successful. I have earned the trust of my clients through quality services. I can expand my client base and invest in the purchase of expensive diagnostic software and equipment. I am proud that I am a high-tech psychologist and that my office is equipped with certified, high-precision software that allows me to work on all phases of psychosomatic pathology. Right now I suggest you take the TUSH test and assess the level of risk of psychosomatic pathology in your case. And at the end of this video, I want to give you some very important advice. If you have been suffering from stress and negative emotions for a long time, if you have a negative streak in your life, take care of your health, find a professional clinical psychologist and undergo an examination. Psychotherapy is good, but it's important that while working on your psychological problem you don't overlook the development of a serious illness. By the way, did you know that cancer is a psychosomatic disease? And as you understood, the usual psychologist is not competent in matters of psychosomatic diseases. Don't expect him to solve a problem he by definition cannot solve. When choosing a medical psychologist, pay attention not only to his basic education and experience but also to his technical base, the quality of medical psychological software and equipment. But seriously, you will not go to the doctor if he does not have the technical means to do blood tests, X-rays, or ultrasound diagnosis. You wouldn't go to a hairdresser who doesn't have scissors and a hair clipper, would you? A modern professional medical psychologist is a high-tech psychologist. His opinion on a client's case should be based in the results of special tests, not just in his personal opinion and years of experience. Stay healthy. See you at the consultation.